Narayanam namaskritya naram chaivam narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam utirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttame sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So today we are covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, 36. So this is Lord Krishna's departure to Dwaraka. Tatra tatraha tatraite harihi pratyudyata arhanaha sayam bije disham paschat gavishto gam gatastada. So word to word meaning. Tatra tatra, at different places. Ha, it so happened. Tatrate, by local inhabitants. Harihi, the personality of Godhead. Pratyudyata arhanaha, being offered presentations and worshipful regards. Sayam, the evening. Bj, having overtaken. Disam, direction. Paschat, western. Gavistataha, the sun in the sky. Gam, to the ocean. Gataha, having gone. Tada, at that time. Translation. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is said here that the Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on the journey. There are certain philosophical speculations that even the Lord is under the obligations of fruitive action. But actually, this is not the case. He does not depend on the action of any good or bad work. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends to the earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of impious non devotees. Although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. This is the way of factual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one blind teaching. He is himself the awarder of fruitive results, and he is self sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rulings of the revealed scriptures in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong. But in the advanced stage, when one can understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one does not try to imitate him. This is not possible. The Lord in human society does what is the duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living being. His acts of evening prayers are stated herein must be followed by the living being, but it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us into endless difficulties. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. Thus ends Bhaktivedanta purpose of the first canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य घनाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः Mano Bhishtam Stabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kata Mayam Tatati Swapatantikam Vancha Kalpataru Basya Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Lingaraj Prabhu, you have meticulously given me earlier chapter 1 and 2 and last verse of this chapter. So I get an opportunity to get a comprehensive knowledge in this chapter, but I still need to go and catch up the middle words that are involved in this. This is a very entertaining and a great chapter to read. You know, all chapters are nectarians in Srimad Bhagavatam. So here it is said that the Lord is, the context is the Lord is traveling on his way to Dwaraka. So yesterday Sandhya Mataji covered like the various places in modern India, right from Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat. He covered those states, and where he also met deserts and the various climatic conditions in India. So the Lord is going through these places on his journey to Dwaraka. So while the Lord is going there in each and every places, he was being welcomed, worshipped, and he was given various presentations. It is quite natural that even today in India, like when in the local temples, the Lord will come out and visits the this is a neighborhood places. So when Lord is coming out through procession, like it is quite natural that the people in the locality will offer fruits, flowers, coconuts, and other things, and they worship. So it is such an auspicious event. While the Lord is coming out, like you have the Veda Parayana, like a chanting of Vedic hymns and musical instruments, and so many activities that culture still prevails in India, even in this. Even it exists today. So that is what exactly that has happened when the Lord was visiting the various places as part of his journey. He was being welcomed and he was being given various gifts and presentations. So other thing is, it is said that the Lord performed religious principles regularly. So the thing that is to be noted here is Lord is performing those religious principles with the intention that the common men, the ordinary people, will do that. So he is not doing it for any fruitive actions. So the Lord is known as Atma Rama. So he is self-satisfied. He is satisfied within himself. He is the one who is providing rewards to other people. Like he is not dependent from anyone. There is no one above or equal to him. So that being stated, that he is not dependent on others, that is he is not expecting any fruitive actions based on this by performing these religious principles. There are some philosophical misconceptions which says about that, but that is not true. So it said that he is performing evening rituals. So evening rituals, as mentioned in the scriptures. The scripture says like we have to perform rituals. So what is this? What is this? So when you see that transitions, so transitions are very important in the 24 hours period based on sun's position. So in a day, like we have three transitions. One is early in the morning, and one at the noon time, and one towards the end where the sun is about to set. So these are called the transitions period, and prayers must be offered during this transition period. So we sing in our Guru Ashtagam prayers. Dhyayam stuvam tasya yasya stri sandhyam vande guru shri charanaravindam. Dhyayam stuvam tasya yasya tri sandhyam. So the three sandhyam which means that at least 3 times a day I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So it is said that the 3 times a devotee should offer prayers. So that is what that is coming from the scriptures. So you may notice that people perform Sandhya Vandanam at the transitions period. So what is this? Sandhya Vandanam is a process which involves purification and sankalpa, which are nothing but the intentions, and invocation, and you perform Gayatri and you restore it, which is Yadashtanam. So the purification, even in our deity worship, or any auspicious thing, we perform the purification process, which is achamanam. So we take 3 sips of water. We don't generally just take the 3 sips of water, which is like we invoke a mantra, Om Achudaya Namaha. So we invoke the mantra, Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha. So we invoke the mantra into the water and we sip the water so that the purification is happening through the mantra and you are consuming the water. And then you invoke, you render sankalpa. Sankalpa is nothing but intentions. So it says like Sri Bhagavadagya Sriman Narayana Pritirtham. So for the pleasure of a Sriman Narayana, I am performing this act. So the intentions are very important. And finally, like we invoke Gayatri and we chant Gayatri mantra. It is said that Gayatri mantra it's been chanted to facilitate our relationship or facilitate our devotion with Krishna. So that is the mode when we chant the Gayatri mantra. And finally, we restore it, everything back. So when you invoke Gayatri or when you invoke someone, it is a process of the worship. You restore them back. That's called as Edashtanam. So that is what it has been. And when they say the intentions are important, Srila Prabhupada has given us the teaching that consciousness is very important behind the action. So we may perform any actions as part of our service, like when we perform offering to the deities. So Lord Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not dependent on any of our stuff. Like day before yesterday, Radha Kunja Behari Prabhu also touched base, right? Like the Lord can accept the offering through any of his limbs. So that is possible. So the Lord is, when Lord is taking this thing, he is looking only on our intentions. Are we really offering with love? So the consciousness is more important, and that is the driving factor behind the actions. So that is where the intentions are very important. And this Lord performed the evening rituals. So the intentions of the Lord acting according to the scriptures is because the common men will have the opportunity to follow their Lord. And so we hear that ritualism leads to spiritualism. So that is a very true factor. When you practice rituals as defined in the scriptures, it will provide an opportunity for us to lead more in advanced consciousness so that we can spiritually become elevated. The analogy here is like when you try to bend a green bamboo, you cannot immediately bend like this. That's not possible. So you have to progressively bend the bamboo to get the shape. If you're trying to bend the green bamboo, you have to progressively do that. So the performance of rituals, as defined in the scriptures, like prayers performed at a 3 Sandhyam, like when you constantly do that, that will help us to purify, like that will help us to purify and help us to elevate in the spiritual consciousness. And the advancement can be naturally seen progressively. We also hear in Krishna book, like Krishna is the householder for 16,108 queens. So every day early in the morning he gets up during Brahma Muhurta and he meditates on himself. So Krishna meditate on himself is naturally father, but if we try to meditate on us, that is not that is a pure example that we are in Maya. So that's not possible. But Krishna set the standard for the household devotees, like to get up in Brahma Muhurta and perform the religious activities. So these are the steps that it's very important to see, what Krishna has performed and to follow. Another thing is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he performed Shraddha ceremony for his departed father. And he performed the Shraddha ceremony at Gaya, which is a sacred place. So the thing that happened is, when he was performing the Shraddha ceremony, that is where he met his spiritual master Ishvara Puri. So until before that, he was Nimai Pandit. He was known as Nimai Pandit, a very elevated scholar. And once he met his spiritual master and he took his initiation, and then he returned back, he was transformed as a devotee. That has been said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. So that transformation has happened. But this is just an information that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also performed Shraddha ceremony. So these are the things that are to be followed from the Supreme Personality of Lord. So God has done these things. So these are the stuff that are good to be followed. But the Lord also done extraordinary stuffs. Like it is said in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has said that Lord has performed lifting the Govardhan hill. And he also has done pastimes stating of Rasa Leela, which is dancing with the gopis. So these things that we cannot do, like we are not supposed to do all these things. So if you see the life of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees, like Vaishnavas, the pure Vaishnavas like Sanatan Goswamis or Bhakti Vinod Thakur, right? Their lives are or it's not like some of our lives. Like it is not the regulated stuff what we try to. They are at the elevated level. Like if you see Sanatan Goswami, he is the emblem of humility. So he is an emblem of humility. And once in Jagannath Puri, right? He was walking on the shore. He was walking on the shore at the noon time. I remember, like with a barefoot and whether you wear a slippers or not, if you try to walk at the noon time in a seashore, how hard it will be. But he was doing that because he was trying to avoid the road. Why he avoid the road is because when he walks in the road to Jagannath temple, there will be so many people and pujaris, and they will be seeing Sanatan Goswami, and they will go and pay their obeisances to him. And he thought he is not in that elevated consciousness. He thought he is not an elevated devotee, and because of his humility, he was doing that sort of austerity. Like, so those things, I mean, it is not recommended for us to do. Like we can see and we can take some inspiration, but it is not recommended. We have to do what is feasible to our capability. Once in I don't remember who exactly it was, but I read in Srila Prabhupada memories, like one of his senior disciples, he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I'm trying to sleep only like 2 hours. And Prabhupada chastised, you are not a Goswami. Like, we are not supposed to imitate certain stuffs. If you see the life of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, like he's a perfect example. Like, he had like 10 children, and he was holding a senior position in the High Court, and he written so many books, and Srila Prabhupada written so many books. Like, those things are practically not possible for us to follow on our daily life. And it is said that there are some followers of Shiva who try to imitate by taking weed, ganja. Just because Lord Shiva did, they are following that with malicious intention. Like, I'm also like a Shiva. If you see in the life of a Shiva, he drank poison and he hold it on his neck, and he acted the pastime of a Nilaganda. But if you ask them to do that, that is not possible. They should know what should be done and what should not be done. When speaking about that, right? So even today, like in the internet, you have a person who who says he is Shiva and he is his abode is a Kailash, and he arranges a one-on-one meeting with Shiva, and he's plundering a lot of money, and innocent people like being victimized because of his action and false propaganda. So the knowledge of what to be followed and what not to be followed and what should not be imitated is very critical. Critical thinking is very important even in devotional service. And if we do, if we try to imitate, it will put up in endless difficulties. So how do we validate all these things, like what is good and what should not be followed? So in all circumstances, right, in all aspects, we should take the shelter of the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord. So the Krishna cannot be in front of us all the time, but he has given the opportunity for us to inquire and serve the spiritual master. Spiritual master is the manifested mercy of the Supreme Lord, and he is the external manifestation of the super soul. So we should take shelter, and we should validate these sort of things, like does it make sense, like is my understanding correct? And he will guide us based on the principles of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, and that way we will get some clarities. There are many, I mean, the mind has the mental concoctions. We don't know whether, like if somebody says like I am the God, I saw the God, these are all mental concoctions. Like that should be ruled out. That should not be encouraged. Krishna came to my dream and said something in this. We have to see how elevated are we, are we acting according to the scriptures? Are we our prachar and achar is all the same? Like those are some of the validations, and if you go and validate that, you will get the clarity. That is not something to be encouraged. Those are false mental concoctions, and that will help us to elevate in the real sadhana vaidhi bhakti. So that is the one which will help us to do that. So this is what I learned from this words. And if there are any opportunity to enhance based on the understanding, so I seek forgiveness for something if I have wrongly stated, and please open for any discussions. Hare Krishna.
Oh my God. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. When you said about initially when you said about the presentations made to the Lord, and when he is coming out, and you compared with the temple processions when it happens, I was reminded of my village practices. That is, the Lord will come out in an elephant procession and stop at each, and en route will stop at each house door, and they will give, usually they are all farmers households, so they will have a tradition of giving one measure of paddy. That's about it's a large measure, it's not a small thing.
Right.
So they will have, that is called para. Para is a measure. And then so the elephant will come, and there will be so many musical accompaniments, everything.
Right.
And that's a big festival in the annual temple festival. That is
right.
That's very nice. And people will receive with that the young girls will have that is, receive them with lamps and flowers in their plate. That is called talapuli. That is
Right.
very nice. Yes. All the respects given to the Lord and welcomed.
Yeah, these practices exist even today. Like that is a good part. Like even in Kali Yuga, we have uh, so many opportunities to dilute these things, but still temples are doing all these things. And whether we go out of the temple, whether we go out and greet the deities, that is our choice. But these are still happening, and that's an opportunity for us to engage in devotional service. So when we mean like if we seriously practice a devotional service, Mataji, like you said, like with greeting, I mean like you, we are not going to the temple, but the law, God is coming just outside our doorstep. And even in that case, if you are not taking advantage of that, like that is quite misfortune on our side. I mean, like if we seriously practice a devotional service, as Prahlad Maharaj says, like swastyastu vishwasaya kala prasidam dayantu bhutani shivamitodya manasya badaram bhajat adokshaja aveshwatam nomati. Like let there be good fortune throughout the universe, and all the envious persons be pacified by performing devotional service. So in that way, like everyone can think about others' welfare and elevating their consciousness. Yeah, thank you, Madhuri, for sharing that.
Hare Krishna, Sacisuta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your wonderful, class today morning. When you talked about the Lord doing his, evening and the Sandhya Vandana and stuff like that, what came to my mind was even in Ramayana, Sri Ramachandra, there are multiple instances where he's offering oblations, to like the Sandhya Vandana and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that came to my mind.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu, that is true. Like it is said that even if you are not in a position to do that, it is also recommended to do mentally, like as if we are doing it. At the time of a transition, the prayers has to be done, and that is what we are also doing as part of our um, bhakti process, right? So we have Srila Prabhupada has given like morning program, evening program, like everything is been orchestrated. So he has nicely tailored and customized and given for us without deviating the scriptures what has been said. So it is easy for us to pack, and when we do the analysis, the findings are like that's coming from the scriptures. That is what Srila Prabhupada has given to us. So true. So, Lingaraj Prabhu, if there is nothing much, probably it's a good time to stop.
Okay.
Thank you. Panchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad